Hey guys. Hey, hey, hey. Mika here. I'm back for another episode of our Kingdom Living Book Club. You guys, I'm really excited because of the fact that this is the last chapter of Damaged Not Destroyed by Michael Todd. We've been together for a little over a month now discussing this book and just the ways that it's been impacting us. And it's been really good, y'all. I am happy to have chosen this book to kick off my Kingdom Living Book Club. As you know, this is new for me, but it's been a pleasure meeting with you guys each week, or most of the weeks because we skipped a couple. But it's been a beautiful experience just linking together with you guys, finding community and like-mindedness, and I'm grateful. So thank you again for joining us. I know we've been moving the schedule around here and there. It's been a lot of this time on this day or this time on that day. I'm trying to figure out the best time to meet that works best with my schedule and others' schedules. I know that sometimes Friday is difficult for me because of the fact that I work on Fridays, and you know, because of that, I be having a lot of stuff to do during the day. Then I gotta get ready for work. Then I gotta find time to get this done before I have to be to work. So there's a lot of that going on, and I kind of want to eliminate that by finding the best time to do everything. So I'm trying Sundays now. Sundays are more of a chill day for me. Hi Gary. Thanks for joining. Sundays are more of a chill day for me, as opposed to like Fridays and Saturdays when I have to work and I've got all this stuff that I've not been able to do during the week to do on those days. So we're gonna try Sunday and see how it works. Anyways, now that I've gotten that out, hi again, guys. Um, Thanks again for working with me with the time changes and the different times. We can get it together, I promise. Okay, so now that that's out, did everybody enjoy their fourth? I know I did. I had a good time. I just kind of chilled out. I didn't do much, just relaxed. Saw some fireworks, of course. It was great. How about you guys? What did you guys do? Anything fun? Drop a comment. Let me know how your day went. We're just going to wait for some people to join us. Give everybody about 5 minutes. Maybe like 7, just because, like I said, it's a new day, new time. I think if Sundays work out, then that's going to be something that we stick to moving forward. We're going to just make it on Sundays moving forward. Like I said, Sunday's more of a chill day for me. I can actually be here on time every week, especially as we start our new book, which is coming soon, guys. We're going to be starting The Bait of Satan by John Bevere. Hi, King Bantu. Welcome. Thank you for joining. But yes, we'll be starting The Bait of Satan. I'm thinking the first week of August, just so we can kind of wrap up this book. I know today's the last chapter for this book. But I want to do like a recap meeting where we kind of get together and talk about practical ways which we or I can apply what I've learned in this book, and then kind of like put it to the test before we start on the next book. One thing I want to let you guys know is that if you haven't noticed by now, the nature of all the books that we're going to be reading is faith-based. So these are books that teach us principles in the Bible and then help us to actually apply those principles to our life so that we can see the fruit of it. Um, and yeah, I think that that'll help us live good, live well. Not just, living well is not just having things, but it's actually the nature of our mental and of our well-being. And um, the way we get there is by, dealing with ourselves in whatever manner that may be, whether it's healing or changing how we think about something or finding better ways to just be the best version of who we are. Hi, Polo. Thank you for joining. But yeah, so that's the whole purpose of what I'm doing here, guys. And as we continue to go on, let me know if it's helping or if you're just like, I don't know. Either way, I'm gonna keep doing it. This is more so for me than it is for anybody else. But I'm happy to help if it does help you. All right. And I'm coming to you live from my bedroom in my bathrobe today because, yeah, like I said, Sundays are more chill. I don't be doing much. I just be chilling on Sundays. This is my recovery day from the long weeks that I be having. And my weeks be long, y'all. Work two job, well, two and a half jobs because as you know, running a business is very tiresome. It requires a lot of effort, a lot of energy in a lot of different areas. So I do that and then, you know, I also work at nights picking up waitressing. So I do that as needed, but I've been doing it a lot more frequently as of lately just to kind of, increase my income, whatever. So, yes, Sundays are my chill days. You guys are joining me in my personal time. Thank you for being here. And yeah, work with you, girl. So, I'm in my bathrobe and pajamas in my bed, but it's all good. All right, so we're going to get into it, guys. Chapter 10 is designer damage. Now he begins chapter 10 by talking about some high-end Balenciaga shoes that were distressed, but they were like $1,000 a pop. If you ever bought Balenciaga shoes, you know they're not cheap. They are very expensive, and not because of the sneaker, because you can find knockoff sneakers that look very similar for a lot less. But what you're paying for is for the name. We buy designer because of the name, not because we can't get the look in other ways, other cheaper ways, cost efficient ways. You're purchasing the name. And he equivalates that to us in Jesus's claim on us. He says when Jesus claims you as his own, you wear his name, which makes us designer. Our value is tied up in the name we carry. And he goes on to say, don't ever go on sale. Don't ever cheapen our worth. Don't ever discount our damage because the designer has placed value in us. Even though we don't always see or feel that value right away, there's a purpose in everything that we go through in our lives. There's a reason for it. Now, this is not to say that, God causes our damage, but he certainly can use it. Our value is in the heart of our creator. And no matter what we go through in life, that doesn't take away from the value that we have and the purpose that God has destined for us. Even though we go through hard things, this life is not easy, y'all. I mean, I don't know about y'all, but my life ain't been easy. It's not been the easiest. I can say that honestly and truthfully, and I'm sure a lot of us have at least that same experience to identify with. Life has not been the easiest, but the things we have gone through and the things that we have experienced does not change our value. God doesn't cause the rejection, but through the healing process, he turned Mike's obsession with greatness into obedience and gratefulness. If you guys remember last week, we talked about an instance where, one of his albums flopped. It was his first album, and he was embarrassed by it. And he doesn't listen to it again. I mean, he doesn't listen to it, but he was with some friends and they asked him to play it while they were working out. And then he had to go through that process of healing to appreciate what God was doing in him by giving him the music, by giving him the songs. Even though it didn't work out perfectly, he was still accomplishing what God put in his heart to accomplish for the kingdom. God used him and used that experience and used that music to reach people, whether it did as well as he wanted it to or not. So that's what he's referring to when he says that. And then he goes in to talk about step 5 of the healing process. If you guys recall, step 1 was remember the hit, step 2 was recognize the hurt, step 3 was realizing the hindrance, step 4 resetting to humility, step 5 receiving God's healing. So in order to get to receive God's healing, we've got to go through those first 4 steps. And the work we're doing opens us up to God's work. God does the heavy lifting of our healing, guys. Healing is a gift. Healing is a gift, and we can start the process, but ultimately it's God that brings us to that finish line. And his 5 steps of going through healing reminds us of that, with the last step being receiving the healing that God has gifted us with. Our Heavenly Father gives good gifts to those who ask, and that's Matthew 7:11. Hi, Lala, babe. Thanks for joining. So yes, healing is a gift, and our Heavenly Father gives good gifts to those who ask. And if we ask Him, we do our part, we show up, and we follow these steps, He will do the rest. So then there's a subsection where he goes deeper into receiving God's healing, and he says, "Let the designer do his job." And then he goes into talking about deliverance. Now, if you guys are raised in church and you know about church concepts, then you have heard the word deliverance. But if you haven't, basically, in a nutshell, what deliverance is being set free, if you will, from. Hi, cousin. Hi, Terrell. Thank you for joining. It's being set free from the things that hold us back, being set free from trauma, from hurt, from things that alter our mind and our hearts to live in a way that doesn't really serve us but makes us feel protected even if we're not actually. So he talks about deliverance and how complete deliverance can happen in a moment. Again, if you grew up in church, you might have seen someone who was prayed for and they were healed instantly. You might have seen some videos online where, people receive deliverance, are delivered from, you know, um, demonic possession, even sickness, illness, those kinds of things. It's immediate. But most of deliverance happens gradually, it happens over time. And sometimes your healing will hit you when you don't even realize it. You only realize it when you go through a situation and you respond differently. And you're like, oh, wow, I wouldn't have normally done things that way. Okay, something's different, something's changing, and you're changing. You're the one who is changing. You're choosing different, not based off of that hurt that you experienced or those traumas that you experienced, but based off of a freed mind, a mind that can perceive, you know, from a lens outside of hurt, from a lens that just sees without the filter of damage, without the filter of trauma, without the filter of whatever you've experienced. And that if you get to the point of your healing where you can experience that, you know, that thought change, that process where you're choosing different, it's I can't even explain it, you guys. It's like, wow. It's really like a wow moment, and it makes everything that you've gone through, all the experiences, all the hard times, all the tears, worth it. Because it's like, wow, I see my growth. I feel it. Like, it just makes such a difference. And then he talks about the moment he noticed his deliverance from being obsessed with greatness. If you guys remember, we talked about in our it is amazing, absolutely amazing, and yes, it's life-changing. It changes everything, and that's what we're trying to do. But, he talks about the moment he realized he had changed and how he realized his obsession with greatness had changed because he went through a situation with his son where he was diagnosed with autism. And when they got the news, he canceled 6 months of his speaking engagements just like that because his wife needed him and he needed to process the news that they had just gotten. Now, he said normally that wouldn't have been his choice. He's got a platform, he's got an image to uphold. The old him would have chosen to kind of just deal and do as best as he could while also meeting those engagements. But he canceled them 6 whole months, just easily, just cut it out. And he said in that moment, when he realized how easy it was to choose the good of his family over the great of his platform, he had to take a moment to thank God. Like, thank you, Lord. Like, this is not something I would have normally done. And I know that I'm only doing this now because of the gift of healing that you have given me. And that was the better choice. He needed to be there for his family. And then he goes through the process of how he got to this decision making process. So, if you guys remember, he did the acronym for HUSH: hearing from God, understanding progressively, sharing intimately, and getting to the heart of the matter, starting at Cracker Barrel with Tim Ross when Tim was asking him all of those questions. And then he went through the checklist: remembering the hit, recognizing the hurt, so on and so forth. And then he began to constantly choose good over great without even realizing it. And that's when he realized he had received God's healing and he was transforming his damage into destiny. He also says that it's okay if we're not there yet. Don't freak out about that. You know, all of our day is coming. As long as we keep showing up and we keep putting the work in, we will get there. We have to trust God and remember it's progression, not perfection. As long as we're progressing just a little bit each and every day, we're on the right path. He says to remember to stay humble, open, and transparent, and to do the work, because as long as you do plant those little tiny seeds every single day and you stay consistent with it, guys, we'll get there. That's with anything that you do in life. Hi, friend. Thanks for joining. I don't know how to pronounce your name, but hello. And then there's another subsection where he recalls another situation that it's a fresher hit that probably could have, torn him down had he not gone through a certain healing process. But he brings up the story when the spit hits the fan again. So if you guys recall, we talked about this a couple of chapters back where, he did an example trying to show what Jesus did when he rubbed spit on the guy's eyes to allow him to see again. He did that example and TMZ got a hold to it and people were bashing him. He lost friends, all of this stuff. So he said, another way to confirmed that he was actually healing is because when that fresh hit came, he handled it completely different than he normally would have. And by the time it happened on a Monday, by Tuesday, he was already into the hush process, hearing from God, understanding, um, and going through all of those steps. This is when he took the trip to Napa Valley. If you guys remember, I told you about that before. With his friends, he stopped hearing from the crowd and started hearing from Christ. He shared intimately with his friends, the friends that he went to Napa with, and he was going through that whole process. He pulled up a chair to the table of grace with the Lord. And he said that he sat quietly in the Lord's presence and he watched the workers in Napa Valley. Because if you guys know, that's wine country. So there's vineyards, there's, grapes and vines and things everywhere. He said he was sitting quietly with the Lord and he watched the workers cutting dry, fruitless brown grapevines. And he said that he had never been to wine country before that experience, but he did not expect, he was expecting lush greenery and this beautiful scenery, but I guess the time of year that he went, um, it was out of season, if you will. So they were cutting on the vines instead of harvesting from the vines. And he said in that moment, he heard the king remind him of his words recorded in John 1:15. The scripture says, I am the true grapevine, and my Father is the gardener. He cuts off every branch of mine that doesn't produce fruit, and he prunes the branches that do bear fruit, so that they will produce even more. Remain in me, and I will remain in you. For a branch cannot produce fruit if it is served from the vine, and you cannot be fruitful unless you remain in me. Now, I am very familiar with this verse. This is John 15, 1 through 4. I say that because there was a season in my life, and still are seasons in my life, where, I constantly am asking God, Lord, help me to remain in you. Prune me, cut me away in the areas that are not like you, in the areas that are not, conducive to who you are, who I am to become based off of your will for my life. That's a regular prayer for me. And, if you're someone who does have a prayer life, a prayer time with the Lord, include it. Give it like 7 days and see the ways that God will cut on you. Now, his cut is gentle. It's not always what we want or what we're expecting. However, it's always needed. If he's cutting something off, or if he's trying to cut something off of you or prune you or burn something away from you, it doesn't feel good all the time. But if you go through the process and you allow him to do it, you come out so much better on the other side. And he goes on to say that the king was saying to him, I am pruning you so that you can produce more fruit. Stay close and you will be okay. He said what God was doing something with the reactions from people, from TMZ, from all of these different platforms that were bashing him. God was doing something in that, and it had nothing to do with Mike necessarily. Now, he could have taken it personal and missed the whole point, but he didn't. He stayed close to God. He stayed close to his close-knit circle, the people that he trusted to help him through, and he came out on the other side. And good enough. He finally realized that good enough for him good enough for God was good enough for him. What the enemy had used meant for evil, God meant for good. And he used that moment in his life that could have been detrimental, that really could have like just broke him down. When the whole world is talking about you. Now, I don't know nothing about that. I don't know nothing about the whole world talking about me. I'm not nobody that's like prominent in the way that everybody's got eyes on me in my life. But I know what it feels like to have just a few people talking about you. I'm sure we all can relate to that. Having the whole world talking about you and you choosing the high road and not responding and not, you know, putting your true feelings and your true hurt out there for them to continuously just critique, and just kind of getting quiet and getting alone with the Lord to figure out what's happening. That's hard. I couldn't even imagine. I know on a small scale, that's hard. So I can't imagine what it's like when, the whole world is participating in a whole bash fest and you're just over here trying to stay quiet, trying to get your mind right. Obviously, he made the right choice by choosing to do that, but oh, it had to take some serious like self-control. Self-control is a fruit of the spirit, so that makes sense. You guys ever thought about how incredibly hard it is to like for your life to produce spiritual fruit? Like all the things that make us fruitful in our life based off of the Holy Spirit's fruit are difficult. Like being kind all the time, like being like controlling yourself all the time, like, loving all the time. Like those things are the things that don't come naturally to us. They don't. God intended for us to be this way, but there are times when it's just, it's hard for me to love my neighbor. It's hard for me to love those who, want to despitefully use me, or, maybe don't even show me love back. That's a difficult thing to be kind in situations where you're justified to be unkind. Like it's justified. But that's not what he's calling us to. He's calling us to live higher, to live greater, And that's not allowing people to it's not allowing people to get bring us out of character. It's not meeting them in their low pace, but forcing them to come up high to where we are or to just stop. Because if you ever stay silent with someone who is trying to argue with you or get a reaction out of you, once they don't get that reaction, they can't really do much else. Like you have one of two options. Like either stop or continue on by yourself. That's not really what they want to do. So at some point it ceases. Anyways, off on a tangent. Yes, scary, it is a journey and it does remove their control. You give people control when you come down to their level. When you match their energy and that's such a huge thing these days. Oh, I'm matching energy all 2024. Um, Hi Playboy, hi Yellow Boy. Thanks for joining. Um, but yeah, if we're matching energy whole time, we're giving our control away to these people who really don't matter. They don't mean anything. You know what I'm saying? Like when you can maintain, you know, your goodness, your kindness, your self-control, your temperament, all of those things, the love that you have for people, when you can maintain that in any situation, people can't just say things to you to upset you or to bring you out of your character. They can't just do anything. Like it has to be strategically calculated. And even then, people have to go out of their way and still don't get a response. You know how many people you'll upset? They'll mess around and get upset trying to make you upset. This is something I know because I've done it. I've been there. Hi, Savage. Thanks for joining. Because I've done it before. I've done it several times to several people. And it's just like, this was before I knew these principles. I'm just a stubborn person. Like, if I see that you're reaching for a reaction, I'm purposely not going to give it to you because that's my passive aggressive way of getting back. Because now nothing I could say to someone who's doing that is gonna upset them. They're happy because of the fact that I chose to engage. That's what you have to realize about people. The moment you engage, the moment you've lost. Um, so, don't engage, just disengage and see how things change. Let's take our control back, guys. We don't have to respond to any and everything. Like, my response is like diamonds, it ain't for everybody. Everybody don't get it. Everybody don't get one. You might be special if you do, is all Imma say. But anyway, he goes on to say that the damage there is damage that reflects the designer. That experience was really hard for him, the spit hitting the fan, however, he knew what to expect. Now, it didn't make it easy going through the steps, going through the emotions and everything that came with that, but he knew what to expect. And then he breaks down how he went through each step. I'm not going to go into that. I'll save that for you guys to read. But then he finishes up the chapter because we're literally on the last two pages now. Last couple chapters, really quick, a couple pages long, maybe like 8 to 10, anywhere in between. But he goes on to say that our damage is evidence of value. He talks about a Venetian mirror and how an appraiser knows the difference between a real Venetian mirror and a fake one because of the fact that of the damage. If it's peeling in the corners, if it's dark around, if there's some little cracks and evidence of the fact that it's been around for a little bit, it's probably more authentic than one that looks completely flawless. Damage is the evidence of value. Our dartboards of damage are gonna take more hits as time go on. We're gonna go through things in life, guys. That's one thing that is for sure. Like, we're gonna have trials, we're gonna have tribulations in this life. That that is just something that's undeniable. But God gives us tools to get through those things. Ephesians 6:16 talks about holding up the shield of faith to stop the fiery arrows, or darts of the devil. And we know that these darts will come because the devil prowls around like a roaring lion looking for someone to devour. That's First Peter 5:8. How do we stand against that? We need to have a strategy, guys, because yes, trials and tribulations are inevitable. They're gonna come. But what defense do we have against those things? How do we guarantee the victory? Because we already have it. We just have to figure out how to manifest that victory that God has already given us into our now, into our here and now. And some of these steps in this book is how we do that. A few of the steps. There's lots of ways, guys, but he's just giving us a practical way to do it. Hi, Infamous. Thank you for joining. He says that his prayer is that the tools he's transparently shown in this book will help us hush and allow Jesus the healer to deal with our damage. If we hear from God, understand progressively, share intimately, then we can get to the heart of the matter. And the heart of the matter is that we belong at the table of the King. Every surface, every facet, every flaw, everything that we've gone through, we still deserve to be there. We are royalty, guys. It might be hard to believe, but we are. That's just a fact because he's the king and we're his children. So yeah, we're damaged, but we are not destroyed and we are still valuable to the king. We still have value. That's it, guys. That's the end of it. Now, he does go on a little bit to kind of create more opportunities to do all the exercises that he had in this book. And then there are the acknowledgments, but you guys can go through all of that on your own in your own time. But yes, oh, so good. I thank God for Mike Todd and the fact that he decided to one do the sermon series about damage not destroyed. It is great, guys. If you haven't watched it, if you haven't got a chance to watch it, he's on Spotify, he's on Apple Podcasts. For all those Apple users, we get that app for free, just so you know. And then I'm sure he's on Google Play and stuff like that. But go and listen to it. Like, it is so good. Like, it blessed me so much. I still go back and listen to, some of the series of that sermon series, some of the episodes in that sermon series, because it's timeless, y'all. We're always going to have something we're healing from. That's just the bottom line. But we can prioritize our healing. We have to know who God says that we are, so we can combat the things that life presents to us, especially the bad stuff. It's not always peaches and cream. It's not always good. It's just, but it's inevitable, like I said. So how do we get through it? How do we make sure that we come out on top and we maintain our integrity? We maintain, who we are at our core. We get better because essentially that's what this life is about. The quality of your life depends on how well you get through those tough things. It's not about always what you have or what you don't have. Your pursuit of happiness is based off of how you get through the things that come to steal it, that come to steal your joy, literally. And he's given us a bunch of practical applications in this book so that we can live the best version of our life that we can. So yeah, that just makes my heart glad. It makes me grateful. I'm happy to have read the book. I'm happy to have been able to listen to the sermon series, and I hope you guys do too. I think next week I'm going to maybe I'm going to get vulnerable with you guys. I'm going to talk about at least one thing. I don't know about some, but at least one thing one trauma, one traumatic experience that I've gone through and applied some of the things in this book so that you guys could have a real life example. Not to say his examples weren't real life, but you'll have a real life example of how to practically apply the steps that he's given us. Because I don't know about y'all, I didn't just read this book. I'm definitely planning on applying it to my life and, using these tools to help me get through to the finish line of healing. I wanna be healed. I don't wanna keep going through cycles and letting things pass down to the generation coming up after me. It's stopping here. The buck stops here. So yeah, and I'm determined. So yeah, with that said, guys, we are wrapping up. Um, there is gonna be a generation after me. I am revealing the secret. I'm gonna be having a baby, guys, in October. I've kind of just been keeping it off of the social medias because, yeah, I just something near and dear to my heart. So like, I don't want to share it with everybody, but I'm sharing with y'all. Wish me well. I hope that you know, um, I can get to this in my own life before my seed enters the world and, you know, has to deal with the stuff that I didn't, because it ain't gonna happen. That ain't happening. It ain't happening. Thank you, Lala. I appreciate you. I'm gonna be getting with you soon because baby showers also coming soon. Well, for New York. If you're my New York friends, I'll be having one soon. My sisters are putting it together, so stay tuned. My North Carolina friends and family, I don't know yet. I don't know what's gonna be happening there yet, but I have details forthcoming. Thank you all for going through this whole process with me. It means so much that you've at least listened to me talk. Maybe there's not always been a chime in, and thank you to those who have chimed in, but um, I'm happy to just sit here and kind of go through my thoughts and go through what we're reading, just with you guys listening. Sometimes saying things out loud is really helpful to kind of find clarity. Um, and I can attest to that. This book club being one of the ways that I've been able to. So, yes, thank you for joining. Now, we're going to meet probably, I think we'll do next Sunday to do our recap. Um, and then we'll meet the week after that so I can share my testimony for the ways that I've been healed and how I've broken it down. And then I will start our new book, Bait of Satan. Guys, get your copies. Please get it. I heard so many good things about this book. I cannot wait to break it down with y'all. So get your copies, please. And we'll be starting that first week of August, okay? All right, y'all. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday. I'm about to get back to big chilling. Yes, I will also be Lala, thank you for saying that. I'll let you know what I need. I have a link um for my Amazon registry. So if you guys want to support your girl, show me some love. I'm a first time mom, or I'm gonna be anyways. I'd love for you guys to, do what you can, and if you could just send me a well wish, if you could just say congratulations, I'm fine with that. You know what I mean? Um, the blessing of your words is valid too. So that said, guys, I am gonna let y'all go. Thanks again. I love you guys, and yeah, enjoy your week until we meet again. Bye. Thank you.